First thing I should explain is, as we go through these devices, you are going to have questions, I promise. Hang on to those questions till we get to that first stop after this one, just because I want to kind of get this rolling along so that way we're not standing here for 45 minutes. But when you get your assigned device, there's going to be a lot of questions. I'm going to do a quick intro with all of them so you guys all know what you're looking at tomorrow morning when you get your data back. So first and foremost, this is a thermal imaging camera. You should be able to see me in this camera. I'm the red, orange, and yellow guy. If you were a bridal party, I'd be the hottest thing inside the picture. Sorry, fellas. So now, with that, yes, there will be jokes. We're going to keep things light. But what are we looking for with this guy? What do you think? Why am I using blue? Why?
Because they're cold.
Right, we're looking for cold spots. Great job. Most people say heat, believe it or not, because I say thermal imaging camera. They're like, we're looking for heat. I'm like, no, ghosts are cold. Where do you come from? What planet are you from? But anyway, so literally we're looking for cold spots. Are we looking for cold spots that are just sitting there? No, we want them to move or take shape. I would say 2 weeks ago now, I had an 8-year-old little girl I gave this camera to because it was a much smaller group. And I'm like, oh, I guess you're going with the camera. She actually caught us a full-bodied apparition moving across the camera, and it was definitely not human. So it was beautiful. March 14th, if you want to go back and look at that data. But anyway, so the cool thing about this camera is it's going to give us a blue dot bouncing around the screen. That blue dot's going to show us the coldest point in the frame at that particular moment. So it's going to help guide our eye on where to look inside the frame when you're watching your video. As great as this hardware is, yes, this is a FLIR, so it is used by firemen to help save people. The software is horrible. So we are going to do some starts and stop with this so that way we don't actually lose any footage that we have going on. So Blake, I think I'm going to go with you on this one. Did I get that name right? Yes, look at me. I'm getting stuff right tonight. I know, right? I'm the writer that can't remember his own characters. I got to go back a chapter and figure it out. So you are going to hold that horizontal all night long and keep the camera on your left. That's the wire side. Even when I tell you to stop it and kind of relax and restart it back up again, make sure you start in that position. I splice all that video together. If he's sideways or upside down, we're going to be watching a video like this. And then I got to give out your phone number, and your phone's going to blow up. So let me get out the next camera so we know what we're dealing with.
You're the man for that.
I have to get out both cameras just so we have those going at the start. So this one works a lot differently. So let me do a quick demo with this so you guys all know what we're working with. Yes, this is
GoPro?
it is a GoPro. Look at you.
What?
So you should not be able to see me in this. Well, now that there's a car behind me. Obviously, it's a very small screen, so I already have my people. You're probably looking for bulldog down 2 trees to the left. Got it. You overpaid and you won't have as much fun. Did I say that out loud? Oh, I did. Oh. Wow. All right, so back to my cameras.
And you're late.
Yeah, and you're late. So the screen is pretty dark, so let's turn on some lights. You should now be able to see me in a purple pinkish hue.
Yep.
So again, we're working with infrared lighting. This is lighting you cannot see with your own eyes. This thing is emitting from the top and the side. So the hope here is that we're going to be capturing something we wouldn't be able to normally see with our own eyes. Things like orbs, possibly some kind of flash going across it. We're also going to be using lasers with this camera. The lasers help us detect motion. So this is a 2-person job. Jay, was it? Look at me go, man.
That's crazy.
You're not recording yet. I'm going to show you more about that camera once we get to that first stop. The files are giant, so we don't need that going just yet. So those of you with cameras, so Blake and Jay. People do not like to be filmed, and people don't like their cars to be filmed. So when we're in certain areas, because again, we're going to some spaces where there might not be anything but people's cars, I'll say act casual. If somebody's going to your car, you're going to point yours to the ground, and you're casually holding a cell phone. So you can see how I carefully chose the 2 people that are going to be carrying these cameras. So again, adult gets the one that's way more conspicuous, and you will not be a YouTuber in people's faces.
Aw,
so
man.
I know, right? Even though both those videos go to YouTube. So let's keep going with, keep things in order here so we can. This is the neuralizer from Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything by the time we're done. Lasers.
Well, that's a dots projector, right?
What's that?
Is that a dots projector?
No, it's a laser light.
Oh, okay.
It produces lasers. So the reason why we're using this is because you can see the dots on the ground, you can see the pen in my hand, but you can't see the lasers until something passes through it.
Okay.
So the hope here is that on our camera with the infrared lighting, because this thing lights up like a Christmas tree on that camera. If we capture something here, I'll be able to give you the still from that video. We're also going to be using this one. It actually has red squares. Why do I want red squares and green dots? The red squares, if we capture something here that's still, I can put in 3D software and give you a full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements. So I've had this thing for about a year now, and nothing where the software will actually take it, but I have caught anomalies that me and my wife, who's the photographer for Stories in a Cemetery, neither one of us can actually figure out what's going on inside these photographs. So again, hopefully we'll be able to capture more with these tonight. Lasers get Nick in a lot of trouble, so they definitely go to an adult. Nope. Nice try. So this one has a little, you have to hold that one on.
Okay.
And then this one has a toggle switch. So when it's on, it's on. You have to actually switch it back off.
Gotcha.
Lasers stay on the ground no more than 3 to 5 feet in front of you. We don't need them on yet, but I just like to show you how to turn them on.
Okay.
They always go to adults, just so you know. There's a laser law in Charleston, in case you guys didn't know, where Nick can get arrested. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So we get Nick out of jail.
Yeah. We put Nick in jail. So, we keep them on the ground for sure. Now, spirit boxes. We're going to be using a lot of spirit boxes tonight. They all do something a little bit different. I only have 2 that are the same. So spirit boxes are a way for us to actually communicate with the dead. The way these work is this one's going to sweep through the FM radio stations. So on your television shows, this is normally the white noise that you'll hear, and then your host will tell you what he thinks he heard in the middle of it. Now, disembodied voices like what they're showing you on TV are a rarity. So again, there's other methods you can use with this. We're going to be using a method where we're going to slow down the sweep, so that way the radio chatter actually comes through, which is going to be a lot. So song lyrics, DJs, commercials, that kind of thing. So with that said, we want to hear those things. In the event we can actually capture something that's going through and make sense of it, it's a 50-50 shot. I can tie it to our location, a person in history, or something going on with one of us. So again, the cool thing about this one, I'm going to get it set up, is it's going to record the entire session for us. So tomorrow morning, this will be part of your data. The person wearing or using my 2 red spirit boxes, they will have earbuds in. So whatever they hear in real time, I'll be writing down their notes, and then I will spot check this recording tomorrow morning to give you about 15 to 20 more things that I find, whether they're relevant or not. The reason I do that is to help you learn how to listen to the entire recording. So that way you guys know exactly what you're looking for when you listen to the entirety of it. So again, I'm only listening to it like 15 minutes. So for every 5 minutes, I listen to about a minute to a minute and a half. If I find something in that, great. If I don't, I move on. So that's kind of how I spot check these devices. You guys wanted a full investigation, you're going to get it. You're going to do the work too. I'm losing your name. Savannah. Savannah, this is all about you. So you're going to be wearing, most people wear just one earbud, so that way you can actually hear me too, and you can play with the volume as much as you want. I'll show you where the volume button is, because that's the only button you're going to need. So give me 1 second to take this twist tie off. So your volume button is right here, it's the wheel. So up and down as much as you want. There you have it. And it's already recording. We're going to let that record all night long. Try not to hit the button at the top next to the wheel. You'll stop the recording and then I'll have to splice audio together and it'll delay. Yeah, no pressure on any of you guys. I'm putting on the word. So the second one. Little ones are great for listening to spirit boxes because they have no judgment on like what they think they're listening for. What was your name again?
Adair.
Adair. I'll get it. You're getting impatient. I got cool stuff. Don't worry. I love it. I love it. So this one is going to do the same thing. So whatever you hear, you need to let me know what you hear, okay?
If I hear barking, I know it's my ghost dog.
There you go. So yours is not recording, so I'll have to rely on you to tell me what you hear. I do not want earbuds back. That's your souvenir, your own earwax. So you guys get to keep that. Your volume button, sweetheart, is right here. It's a wheel, so you'll have to control the volume of whatever you're comfortable with.
Alrighty.
The next spirit box. Let me pull this guy out. So this guy is going to give us a word from time to time in the center of the screen. As you can see, we have the word fell right there in the middle. On your TV shows, you're used to seeing what they call an ovulus. An ovulus holds about 2,048 terms. This one has 9,200 in it. This is a phone app. This thing is meant to be a game and a hoax. So 80% of what we get out of this thing won't mean anything. It's BS. We can throw it away. It's the other 5 to 20% that actually will be so specific to our location. It comes with timestamps, so I can check the spirit box recording, the video recordings, and kind of see if anything else matches up with this guy. I think I'm gonna go with you on this one.
Okay.
The cool thing is you're gonna get the full list back, by the way. So all of the words are gonna show up in a list. I'm gonna clear out last night's terms. They had 73 terms. That's about average for a 2-hour tour. So I don't want to see every word that pops up. I will come to you when I want to see the list.
Okay, is there anything I have to hit?
Nope, I'll show you once we get there.
Okay.
Just watch the words pop up. Let's see.
I'm hearing strange things, so I turned down the volume.
Let me go to dogs.
Yeah. Turn all the way in Carol.
Let's continue on with spirit boxes, just so we have them all out, so that way I don't have to explain them all at the same time. This one's going to sweep through the FM radio stations, only it doesn't have a earbud to it, so it's going to be open air. So the person that has this will have to control the volume on their own, because it'll be out in the open. So again, it works the exact same way, it just doesn't record. I'll have to rely on you to be able to tell me what you hear out of it. So that way you have spirit boxes too, yes. So your button on this is you're gonna hold up it's a little tiny button right there. You just gotta give it a second.
Right there?
Yep, right where my finger is. To turn it down, you obviously hold it down. There you go. I was gonna make you wait till the last piece, but I decided not to.
I'm hearing screaming at this thing.
It's an EMF reader.
You guys asked me about EMF detectors, so again, we have to use these. It's the way these work, and we've already mentioned the game, which is probably one of the major tools on there, is this K2 meter. So this is going to measure anything electromagnetic, so wiring, cell phones, anything like that. It kind of helps us debunk what's actually going on. This goes up to 25 milligauss. I know this is very scientific talk, but the next one I'm going to show you goes all the way to 200. So with this one, just let me know when the lights go off and tell me what color you have, because I already have the colors memorized, so that way I can take note of what's actually going on. It doesn't make any noise, nor does it vibrate. So
I was telling you about this the
What
other day.
changed?
again, you won't have to show me every one, because remember, 80% of it's not going to mean anything. If you stop and tell me every word, we're going to be out here till like 4 a.m. Because there's going to be a lot of terms that are going to pop up.
Look, it knows I'm standing beside you.
This one is called a millimeter. So this one's going to have an EMF meter built into it as well. So the top number, Tracy?
Man, you are rocking it.
I'm trying to think of her name.
It took me a minute. I just forgot Savannah so far. And Adair. I'll get that one right.
And Kristen. And James.
She's on it. What's my name?
Nick.
Okay. Make sure you go with the right guy. So, Tracy, anything above 2.5 is basically the second green dot. Oh my God, I lost his name.
Starts with a C.
Chris? On Chris's. So, we're going to use that as kind of a ballpark. So anything above 2.5, I want to know what's going on, and we'll see if there's a pattern to debunk what's actually happening.
Okay.
The bottom number is ambient temperature. Okay, so in the event Blake actually has something on his camera, you and I can debunk it or prove it pretty quickly with the ambient temperature here. You won't have to focus on that too much. But the last thing that it has, and we don't use this all the time because it can be distracting for me as I'm giving you the history of a location, is it's called a REM pod. So if something, I just created an EMF field around the antenna, so if something interrupts it, like we're way too close to this wiring over here, but if it was close, obviously it's going to make some kind of noise. So I'll show you more about that at our first stop, just so you know. But right now, just focus on that big red number in the center of the screen. Matt, you get to carry the bag. You're getting my brand new device. So this spirit box works completely different than every other one. This one is an auto noise canceling. So a lot of the folks that have earbuds in or have a spirit box, they actually have white noise coming through it. This one is going to take the white noise out, so only words or noises will come through that should sound like humanoid voices. So it's going to be sweeping through the FM and the AM stations, so at the same time. So if it finds something, it's obviously going to spit it out. You can hear it giving me little noises already, and they're going to be going in reverse versus everybody else's that's going forward. So the other ones are going forward fast, yours is going backwards fast. So again, The only thing you need to know is where the mute button is, which is right here. So it's just one button. I am going to mute it right now, just so that way we can...
This one right here?
Yep, there's only one button on the side. So again, it's on mute right now. You won't need to hit any of the front buttons. If you accidentally do, just let me know. We'll reset things. All right, so go have fun, guys. Let me know what happens.
You'll be at the coffee shop, right?
Just like to see that you guys are all paying attention. It's
Something
good.
on the ground there.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, just a little bag from the earbuds.
Oh, okay.
Thanks,
Okay.
appreciate that. I try not to litter in my own city, right?
I don't know if that's a piece of equipment.
No.
Something.
Right? So let's talk about why we started here, Big John's. Now, none of you got to eat dinner there tonight, so because it's obviously closed. But Big John's was actually named after the original owner, Big John Kennedy. Not yet. I'll give you the cues. I'm really good about where the cues are going to be for starts and stops, so you'll see that. But Big John Kennedy played for the 1947 New York Giants. So with every story or piece of history I'm going to give you tonight, there's going to be certain keywords I slow down on. And I do that for all of the spirit boxes because all of them are in play tonight. So spirit boxes, you're going to be listening for things like 1947, New York, and Giants would be something you would listen for here because those are obviously keywords. Now, he used to sit in the back of the bar and tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, two guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. So he has the bartender throw them out. They leave pretty angry. They come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. Big John sees what's going on. He puts down his beer. And he goes and just starts pounding these guys right into the floor, just beating the heck out of them. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets hit in the neck, but the bullet lands in the wall behind him. John gets up after being shot, goes back to the bar, tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the two guys on the floor in an ambulance. Now the irony here is that nobody died, and John's the only one that got shot, and also the only one that got up after the fight. So, what's haunting the place? The bullet hole is allegedly still here. Even if it's not, after the new renovations of Big John's that we now see, John's blood is still in this building. That's what haunts the place. People that sit in the front of this bar where that bullet hole is or was tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, headache. That's from the paranormal activity that occurs there. When I do go inside, the only EMFs I ever get out of the place are in the front, right inside that front window. So, that's kind of your heated warning. You're going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight, fingers crossed, because the ghosts are not on the payroll. I can't make them do anything. But if we are and somebody starts to feel any of those symptoms, I need to know immediately. Like, it's a big deal. So we will talk more about that throughout the night, just so you guys know, because sometimes it is relevant to the story, just so you guys know. So let's not talk about our own health, because we got moms on this tour, and they're all looking at me like, what the hell did we sign up for? So, with that said, we had a big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't know that from any other tour in town, because we all talk about it, because this is South Carolina, we're not supposed to have earthquakes, you now know. The building, Big John's, is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. I know, sweetheart, it's a lot of history. You gotta bear with me. That's why I gave her a spirit box, so she wouldn't get bored with the history. But the white mantle you see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front of the building. A piece of that broke off, hit somebody in the back of the head, killed them, and it said you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. So I say allegedly a lot with that story because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so the moms on the tour don't get worried about their kids getting sick on my tour. So, are you guys all ready to go ghost hunting? See, I got a little bit of a smile out of that. That was good.
Is this a bad time to say I gotta pee?
Oh, man.
What did he say? Tell him to go behind the tree.
Yeah.
I was going to say, there's lots of trees. Yeah. He'll be fine.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll pull through.
Okay. I'm going to say, because we're not going to pass that candy shop for another 35 minutes or so.
You'll be all right.
It's all good.
All right. We're going to go up this way. And now we all stand here on the video.
You gotta leave the camera back here and go behind a tree there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only you.
So, dude, will you shut up? I had a half a liter of water before I came here. You're the one who's coughing, black lung.
Circle around this way so I can kind of, you'll see the way I kind of direct myself so you guys get a vision of what you're supposed to be doing. You got some action going on?
Yeah.
Nice. So you're about 15 milligauss right now. Do we have anything else on the other one, Tracy? So
0.
0 still? Okay.
Mine's glitching through music for some reason.
Yeah, it's because it's hitting the radio stations. That's what I want you to listen for. So, where are we? This is the Big Red Barn. This is where we keep your horses for your carriage rides, right? So you guys are all on vacation. I don't think any of you are locals. But the history here is really simple. It's just so that I can show you guys more about your devices that you actually have. We're not going to spend a lot of time here talking about ponies and football players, so let's get into it. This is the same red barn that had horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. That's the one-liner history that I found, right? And it's very vague. So let's talk about spirit boxes. There's a lot of them in play. This is not TV, guys. So the first thing everybody wants to ask is somebody here, right? Because that's what everybody wants to do. If somebody answers no, that means somebody's here. So we are not going to be asking yes and no questions all night long. And I ain't paying attention to your device, Chris. It's just blinking in my eye. I'm waiting for it to go into the red a little bit, which it hasn't. But anyway, so you're going to ask questions in a space like this, and we're not going to, stay here long. So what I would normally suggest is, what color is the Big Red Barn? Obviously, we're looking and listening for the color red. Most of you are listening to radio stations to convey messages back to us. So you have to remember that the word red might not be in the vocabulary at that particular moment. However, the word blood, fire truck, heart, cardinal, those things are specifically red. I would actually take that as an acceptable answer. What color is the Big Red Barn? Blood. I'm good with that. However, most of the night, I'm going to require 2 pieces of something going on to kind of verify the other thing that we think is actually happening. For example, where's my word list? Where did that go?
Me.
Sarah. So let's say Sarah's list has the word art on it. And Matt, you hear the number 40 come out of your spirit box. Now, those words don't mean anything by themselves, but put them together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. Does that make sense to everybody? Mm-hmm. A lot of these stories tonight are going to be from 17 and 1800s. These guys were all named the same thing. Lots of Charleses, lots of Elizas, Georges. We need to know who we're talking to. So I wait for that secondary clue. Otherwise, it's just coincidental that we've heard the name John. I might need his jersey number or where he's originally from, just things like that. So that's kind of how we're going to use those spirit boxes. If in the event that I say you don't get an answer directly, you can always ask things like, what's inside the Big Red Barn? That will open it up, right? Anything related to a horse, the word delivery, milk, eggs, right? That based on the one line of history that I told you. Over there, we talked about 1947 New York Giants and anything relatable to a bar. So last night we actually heard the term cold beer. We're next to a bar, and it said, I am John, right after that. So again, these are things that I can't make up. These are little tiny clues. It's not going to be, hi, my name's Big John, I'm playing for the Giants, and you're going to get the full conversation. Little tidbits. This is about putting clues together. So that's why I use so many different types of devices. I love when I have a full group because everything comes out. So let's talk about those cameras. So again, we'll start with, where's Blake? Where are you at?
Right here.
Up. Stay all the way over here. So you're going to try to do 2 things for me. You're going to try to keep a person in view. We have a pretty good sized group, so that's going to be pretty easy. The reason being is because we're going to be the warmest thing out here with our skin temperature. So with that, that gives us the array of color, and it's a lot easier to see cold spots when we have a 98-degree person in view. That's how I was able to capture that other apparition in this lot just a few weeks ago. The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out. Sometimes it's going to be impossible. Do your best. The reason why is because that blue dot, for the rest of you to watch it tomorrow morning, defaults to the sky because it's looking for a surface. So there's no surface on the sky. So again, do your best. As far as, let's talk about that guy and the lasers. So go ahead and point one of your lasers down for me. Perfect. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be, right through it. So we're basically looking from the point of reference to the ground. So again, you don't always point it down because we know what the squares look like. You want to go through it. So you will always be 3 to 5 feet out in front of you. You will always be 2 to 5 feet away, so that way we can get the array in the video at that particular moment. The slower the 2 of you move, the easier it is to find things, just so you know. Also, no pressure, but lasers will set off car alarms, so that's why I say keep things no pressure at all. But you'll always want to try to keep it as close to you as possible, where we're still getting a nice little array of, a laser show basically. Also, if you're using both of them in tandem, you don't want to cross the streams because then that Ghostbusters joke.
Ghostbusters, right? Yeah.
So, but with that said, basically what you just did is you just put all the lasers in one space instead of spreading them out a little bit to give us a bigger option to be able to find something. Correct. Perfect. I will also point out, go ahead and keep the green one on. So the tip will move. You can see the dots moving on the ground. You want to try to keep as many dots as you possibly can. If you narrow them all down, it's more space for them to miss, and we might miss something. So it moves pretty easily. I'm going to show you more about your REM pod, the motion sensor, once we get to the next spot. I think everybody has a pretty good gist on what they're listening for. Has anybody heard anything? And let's kind of see what words we have going on with yours.
Law. I had little.
So the little scroll will show you everything that you just heard, and you'll be able to scroll through it. You'll be able to move it around.
Oh, cool.
So what are the last 5 terms you have?
Break free, ask, current, terrible, giant.
Giant?
Mm-hmm.
Where did Big John play for?
Giants.
Giants.
Oh my god.
Ooh. First one that popped up was constitutional.
Well, that's because of the space we're going to next.
Oh. Okay. They're waiting for us.
They are. All right, let's kill those lasers. Anybody hear anything at this point? Adair, have you heard anything yet? What have you heard?
So earlier when you're talking over there, sorry, you got the case of the hiccups. I heard like this screeching noise, like it sounded like a scream, but like someone lost their voice and like they're getting it back, but instead they're screaming.
You know what's funny is just a few nights ago, I had a girl, she was about 11, I don't know how old you are, but she said that she heard some screaming in this area as well on this same spirit box. So, unfortunately, yours is not recording for us to verify that. So, with that said, where's my other red one at? Savannah, have you heard anything yet?
I don't think so.
Okay, it's hard. It's not an easy job.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
I'm like, actually, I'm like, just like a minute ago or sometime, like, I heard, this like scratching noise, sort of.
I heard
That's kind of like the white
like,
noise.
like this weird like person talking. Like it sounded kind of like Venom.
Casey.
So
No,
you're
I'm serious.
the cue to start recording will be after the next piece of history. I like to get through the demo first. So
have
with yours, we're probably only going to record about 45 minutes. Whereas the thermal imaging camera usually gives us about an hour to an hour and 15 because I like to keep it at the beginning, just because there's a lot going on in this beginning stages.
So make sure I don't forget to.
I just
Yeah,
heard
you'll be fine.
something
I'll give you the
that
cue.
will-
All right, let's go learn more about this Constitution and why it's so important.
What did you hear?
I heard.
Oh, you got some red now. That's good.
A lot of it's just white noise. Nothing to be scared of, right?
Okay.
You know this.
Sounds like someone's chewing up a table.
Tell me that whole puff over there. Uh-huh.
It just went to 7.9 and then went back to 0.
Really?
Yeah. That was weird. For like a quick second.
I heard some readings on that. Tracy, what do you have?
7.9.
Yeah, mine just went 7.9 for like just like a.
Were you on the
quick
street?
second. Yeah, right over here.
Probably from our parking meters.
Oh, okay.
So parking meters and electrical lines for the street lights are underneath the sidewalks, just so you guys know.
Yeah.
All right, so welcome to another beautiful space in Charleston. It's another parking lot. If you guys don't know where to park, by the way, by the time I'm done with you, I can't. So what is this space? This space is what we call the Pinckney Mansion site. Charles and Eliza Pinckney lived here. Their mansion actually stood facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant, came all the way across, and we are standing where the servant and slave quarters were for the home. So, again, super important space for us. Spirit Box people, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, just so you guys know like what we did with the red one. This is a lot different. So, again, whenever we see people kind of coming through, you want to definitely have to catch one. So that's when you're going to kind of drop it down a little bit. People do not like to be filmed. So, let's talk about these folks. Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses, in case you lost count. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a pretty big deal. We have the word constitutional already on your word list.
I did not do that.
Not your fault? Not this time?
Not my fault.
This is not funny. The ghost upset?
I don't know what's going on.
Right? You want me to try to help him?
There's a door open when, I thought I saw
somebody's gonna
Yeah, I was like, no one's in there.
Alright, so back to the thing. Excitement's over. They're not going over there. So here's what goes on here. So Eliza married Charles at a young age, according to today's standards. So when I say today's standard, it's not the colonial times that she came from. So when you ask her how old she was when she got married, it's not going to be like 12 and 14, right? It's going to be according to our standards today. I'm not going to be giving you that number. The reason I bring it up is because Charles, her husband, was over double her age when they got married. So again, this was a marriage out of love. She remained a widow after he died. So just kind of keep that in mind. Now, she married him because her father over in England thought he was dying and he wanted to see all of his kids one last time. She didn't think he was dying. Besides, that's a haul to go all the way back to England if he's not dying. And not to mention, she's in love with Charles here. So, she was right. Dad didn't die, but she's already married. So he starts sending her gifts apologetically over to this space of where we're standing now. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. A lot of you guys are wearing it tonight because that's how we still use it. Now, indigo was already here in South Carolina, but it was only known on how to cultivate it from the slave trade. So she learned from her slaves on how to keep it going, moved it to a plantation in Mount Pleasant, then calls her dad and says, we can make a killing with this because the rice plantations are going downhill. So now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. This is absolutely unheard of. That's the business of Eliza. Let's get into the weird stuff. That's why you guys are all here, right? So Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles. So back to back. It's really smart, really stupid. Just doesn't hide what happened. Now, ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. That's all I'm going to give you. You want to find out which Eliza we're dealing with? Ask her her maiden name. So that's the name she had before she was married. So some of these young ones don't know what they know about maiden names. So the mansion's not here anymore. You can ask about the mansion. If you find out what happened to it, then you can ask when it happened. And hopefully you get the specific year. Notice none of these questions are yes and no questions. As far as the children, I told you there's at least one. His name is Charles. There are more. The only thing I will ask is that you do not poke the bear. The only things you can ask about the children are how many she had and what their names were. There's a tragedy there that she does not want to talk about, and even the readings that we're getting on Chris's device will go down to 0, and it will stop through the rest of the night. I don't know how she trumps the rest of my tour, but I've seen it dozens of times. So please don't poke the bear. Eliza's death, that's where she's really open. How did you die? How old were you when you died? Where are you buried? And what president was a pallbearer at your funeral? Like, notice these are very specific questions. If you go rogue with your questions, Spirit Box people, by all means, make sure it's something we can try to prove and it's not a yes or no question. So we should basically be watching Tracy's device and Chris's device to see kind of where the hot spots are. We are not going to go near vehicles. We're kind of lucky tonight. We don't have too many cars in here, so we can hit some of the corners. But please don't go in between cars or in front of them. A lot of these cars belong to the employees around here and they come out here for their breaks. So again, cameras, be careful when people are coming through. Spirit boxes, we can get loud and proud in here. So Matt, you can definitely unmute yours at this point. Jay, you can start recording, which is this top button right here. Your camera loves to freeze up. So in the event that it starts freezing up, we're going to start stopping at every 2 to 3 minutes. So just to save footage, and I'll splice it all together. So again, the two of you will be working together. Obviously, you don't want to keep an eye on what you've got going on too. Do we have any words before we spread apart?
I just heard someone go like, they sound like they're dying, and they went like, something.
They said what?
They said they were like, something like it just went by a small voice like.
They locked up already?
And it sounds like
Are you getting anything? Nothing blue?
I wonder if she'll talk to him.
I've already called the manufacturer.
Look over here where I am.
Yeah, move over there with Dad.
They're getting red lights.
We are going to stop it every 2 to 3 minutes.
Getting blue right, or the coldest is right on your EMF reader.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, let's spread out, guys. Let's see what we got going on.
Well, that's
I need to
weird.
work with you on that REM pod. So let's kind of see what we can capture out of this. So with your device, have you seen any movement from the numbers?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, can you look 2.5?
Yeah, well, that was 7 point something over there, and then over here, it was like I don't know, 2 point something. It wasn't 2.5.
So just to give you
Cold spot moving?
No, it's right on yours.
Really?
It's directly on your EMF reader.
Oh, wow. The fifth one almost lit up.
That means there's a lot of activity.
Yeah. It's really still around it?
No, it's off on the cars over there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, sorry. Okay.
There are two little white buttons on the back there.
Yeah.
The one closer to the edge is the one you want. Click it into the device.
And
Into. Yep. Perfect. When you turn it around, just be careful because it will be bright. So go ahead and flip the device around slowly. Perfect. So what you just did was you created a separate type of EMF field around the antenna. So it's not being measured here. So they don't work in tandem. They don't work together. You can have a reading here, but not here. Now watch the lights. Maybe point it down a little bit. There you go. See how the lights? Now you have different colors in there. So I normally would use this as kind of a call and answer. Like, hey, if somebody's here, maybe go to blue, maybe go to purple. So that way I know it's a specific thing and I'm getting a direct response. Your motion will set this off. So if you're walking around and you're getting little blips, there's ways to reset it. On the right-hand side where your fingers are, there's 4 buttons. It's the very bottom one you want. Your thumb should be there all the time, just constantly resetting it because that's going off of your emotion. It's the very bottom.
You're getting all of them lit up. Look at that.
Yeah, your EMF is the coldest.
so I need to like reset it all the time.
Look, Sarah.
Wait, Mom's bag was the coldest.
Getting your hands.
Mom's bag. Mom, your bag is the...
kids' names and the name Larry popped up.
Really? You said it was an L?
Then the word fact.
Exactly. So,
I thought he said it was Charles was the name of the kid.
again, that one's not.
Yep, there were other children. Remember, he said there were other children.
So you were, yeah. So again.
Were you over by the cars?
I was over there. I was over in the corner. It's when she gave me the name.
That way you can get a better chance. You don't want to have it able to again because it's going so fast and it's the slowest setting that it has. So that way, if you hear a DJ come through or a song there or that kind of thing, you gotta let me know what you hear. It's not gonna be all night long. You're gonna hear little things throughout the night. There, what do you got going on?
I'm hearing screeching.
And yours is just gonna spit out. You're gonna hear it randomly. Spit out little noises.
I think everybody...
I had it all lit up there.
yeah.
to the corner. I think she was asking.
She's behind you, Dad. No, she's behind you.
You have some good things so far. The letters is good too. I'll explain that before we leave. So we'll see if anything else pops up. It's a good starting clue. I'll see if something else pops up with it. Definitely relevant. I will tell you why before we leave. Keep going. I don't want to give it all away yet.
Yeah, it'll go full tilt. Look, oh, really crazy
They're all
now.
right here.
Lower your arm so I don't get the sky in the thing.
It's going full tilt.
Yeah.
Have you seen
What's
anything
that?
yet?
See something on the ground that's really cold. Dad, don't move.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad, can you come back? Dad. Dad. Can you come
Hey,
back?
Kristen. Come over to kind of where Chris is and see. That's weird. It's right at Dad's feet.
I was getting it full reading.
Anything out in front of you?
Getting the flickers of red.
Now go behind you.
I'm getting some reading here.
It's still staying in the same spot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, Nick. These two little things on his screen, I don't know what they are. Well, now they... Yep, there's one. Keeps flashing up.
He ain't going off that one spot.
It's the laser dot.
It was before she came over here.
Yeah.
Well, he's still recording, so I'll be able to analyze it. There's definitely a little cold spot there. It might be a piece of trash. So tell me when my foot is near it.
Yeah, now you gotta go over to the right. Walk towards Chris.
Nope.
Keep going.
It's like right there.
Right
Yep.
there, your foot's on it.
It's a piece of trash.
Oh.
It's metal.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna hold on to the colder air, but good eye. But we debunk things first.
Okay. So desperate to see something.
I know.
Oops.
Are you?
Running good, Jay?
Yeah. Wait, when you go right back to the room, he's at a 4-point win.
Yeah, I just had a 3-point.
Okay. I couldn't tell if it was shadows from,
6.3.
or from these lights, but it went dim and came back up.
I got red twice.
Red?
Red twice.
going to pull us to the back so I can get you guys the answer and show you how all this stuff lines up. Go ahead and stop your video.
Bless you, baby.
Go ahead and take yours down too. Let's go back to the back. Reset. Eliza, go to blue. You just got to get close to it. You know how this works. Any readings? Notice how she kind of scrambled as soon as we all came over.
Yeah.
But yeah, 61 is huge here. That's a big number. Eliza, last chance before I pull these folks to the back.
I have the word limited.
You do limited.
All right, let's pull it to the back. Doesn't look like a good idea. All right.
I just got a question. You may or may not be able to answer.
Okay. I'll be honest. If I can.
Are we dealing with a spirit hanging out in the parking lot, or is the spirit possibly in her own mind sitting in her?
Watch that night vision light.
Watch that night vision.
I heard something like it sounded like the name Tar.
I wrote it down. I got you. Well, how's your battery on the front? You're be dying pretty soon. Yeah, you're gonna be dying. I'll have to get you a new one.
What'd you get?
It's got
Did you get something?
No, it's a dead battery. So this alley behind me is called Philadelphia Alley now. So it used to be called Duelers Alley. This is where the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So that's why every tour goes down there, because they tell the specific story of one duel. I'm going to tell you the same story, but you're ghost hunting, so it's not going to be just a tale and we're going to move on. And again, things will start to make sense with Amanda here very shortly. So, Doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. Can we turn yours down just so I can focus and kind of get us through this story? So the doctor moves here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. Now, Joseph shows up here quite a bit as far as the name, so I wouldn't be surprised if one of you hear it tonight. But he moves down here because his fiancée, Amanda, just inherited a bunch of money from her parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this money, and he thinks that the doctor is just after Amanda's money. So he tells Amanda to send the doctor away. He moves to Charleston to prove that he's not just after her cash. So, all right, you'll be discreet, very cool. Again, there's going to be a lot of so he moves to Charleston. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. So somebody walking by with the name Ralph Isaacs, and I stopped on Ralph's name because of his initials. Now, you're ghost hunting, so again, letters and initials mean something. Letters RI will show up here because Ralph Isaacs' initials are the same as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. So again, I need the secondary clue, so I need to know who it belongs to. But anyway, he says, dude, you don't want to stay here. He's got a gunman inside that's going to kill you and take all your money. He's like, I got some friends at 59 Church Street where you can rent a room and be safe. So he takes him up on the offer, and now the two become friends. Now the doctor's practice starts to take off as time goes on here in Charleston. He's making his own money now. He's proving he just doesn't want Amanda's money. So he becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. Every haunted city you guys will ever visit has a whistler, right? So this one just happens to be his doctor. So him and Ralph, go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the way the hierarchy went. He gets better seats. So they talk about these plays on the way home. One night they're talking about William III from Shakespeare, and they start arguing over the new actress that was here. The doctor thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. He starts insulting, they start arguing about it, but then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiance back home in Rhode Island. So, again, they go their separate ways. Pretty ugly argument. And he's on the wrong side of the road. So, yeah, hopefully there's a cop nearby. Catch him. But, so, Ralph, as angry as it is, he's local. He has friends at the newspaper. He goes to his friends at the paper and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of this doctor. Yeah, kind of a jerk move. The doctor sees the ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Jeweler's Alley. We're going to settle this. So they come down, they take their 20 paces, they turn. The doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel, by the way. But however, Ralph has his one shot, and he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. So the doctor doesn't die either, and Ralph made his point. The doctor drops to the ground, and his friends pick him up and carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. He's a doctor. He probably tried to heal himself by bleeding it out. So again, the numbers 59 show up here quite often. Obviously, we got the name Amanda already, the doctor's name. We also heard 122 million, correct? The doctor was 22 years old when he died. So that was along the way here. So we already have Amanda and 22. Remember, I'm going to pick and choose what is actually relevant out of the phrase that we hear. So the number 22 is definitely relevant here. They also say as you walk through this alley, you can hear the whistles from the doctor. Now, this is when I used to take my tours down there. They would say, we're going to turn the spirit boxes down and you're going to use the audio recording because I didn't have all the earbud things yet. Well, one night I got caught. Not supposed to be down there all the way. I went down there all the way to show off, because this alley didn't go all the way through, so this side was kind of blocked off. The other bricks on the other side are older. There's a full handprint and fingerprints from the slave children that sun-dried those bricks. So I used to take people down there to show them the history of it. Unfortunately, it's outside a gentleman's dining room window, and he wasn't very happy about me being down there with my blinky lights. Now, I also treat that brick the same way I do a cemetery. That kid's not staring at that brick in the afterlife. And again, I was in the wrong. But that was November 26th, 2020. The reason I tell you the date of this is because the next day was Thanksgiving. I had the night off. I got a phone call from the office, the tourism office here in Charleston on the 28th, and said I need to reroute my tour or only go down halfway. I decided to reroute, not knowing the full story of what goes on up there. I'm not into pirates, like it's not my thing. I'm a vampire guy. So we go up there on November 28th, and I was like, all right, guys, we're going to wing it. Here's what I know about this female pirate. I tell what I know, and somebody hears the number 300 on their spirit box. I have no idea what that means. Somebody else hears the name Anne, talking about Anne Bonny. I'm like, okay, something's going on here. The next day I'm doing the research, going through the data. We were there on November 28th, 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th, 1720. We are there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her trial.
Ooh.
I cannot make this stuff up. I was actually kind of pissed that I had to learn about pirates. So again, I'm a vampire guy. I can't tell you how many books I've read on pirates since November 28th, 2020. I'm reading another one, and even the video games I play have pirates in them now because I need to learn more stories. Because this is Charleston, you guys need to know about pirates. So here's what's going to happen from here. We are going to go up and around the corner. We're going to see what happens on the spirit boxes. Have we had any words pop up while we've been here?
I had Josephine pop up.
I don't know who that is.
Immediate, persist,
No.
report Josephine.
Nothing like competition, tournament, anything along those lines?
Each house nearly
House?
size. House Island himself.
Interesting.
Sometime.
Now, the other interesting thing is the word Rose will pop up here a lot. That's because 59 Church Street is known as the Thomas Rose House. It is the only historical home here in Charleston that has a ghost story on its historical marker. So, and it is the story I just told you. And the funny thing is, they got the doctor's name wrong. I told you his name was Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. They have it as Ladd Brown. So it's just odd that they got that history wrong.
Oopsie.
Yeah, I know, right? So let's go up and around the corner. We'll kind of see what happens. Again, EMF meters are probably going to be gauged off of our sidewalks. So again, let's go see what gets around this corner here.
Well, I said Joseph and Josephine.
Yeah, I wonder if your grandma showed up.
That's what I was going to say. That was
That kind of
grandma's
freaked me
name.
out. That's your grandma's name on the doctor.
You see Jenny pops up.
Yeah, thank you.
She was on somewhere here.
So again, with that said, it's like using a toy to try to interact with a child ghost. That's why we're here. Our story begins in the middle of its construction. This small building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. So I keep saying thoughts out loud. I don't know why they keep coming out. But anyway, 1703 to 1713 is the construction. The story begins in 1708. So here we go. That's a whopper. I know I gave you a lot of history first, and Savannah's like, I'm getting bored. So let's talk about this badass pirate. Young lady named Anne Cormack moves here from Ireland with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Are you guys with me so far? There's a lot of twists. You guys want to do that one again? Anne, young Anne, moves here with her dad.
From Ireland.
From Ireland. And he's with his mistress, basically his girlfriend. The girlfriend is her mom. Okay? The three of them are running away from his wife. You guys with me on that so far? Okay, I just want to make sure, because this is a whopper of a story. So once they get here, Dad, now mind you, how mad was that wife? Just saying. When they get here, they land in Georgetown, just north of here, between here and Myrtle Beach. Dad buys a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to sell anything from the plantation to keep things going. Hence why we're here. It's familiar. So, Anne back home in Ireland was kind of a badass. They say she killed one of her servants when she was like 7 or 9 years old with a knife to the belly. So she was obviously about Bear's age. Can't imagine that. But anyway, just want you to have that mindset about this young lady before we move on. So, we're going to fast forward. 1713, the building's done. 1715, who heard the number 15, right? So 1715, pirates are coming through town, and Anne is stoked. She falls in love pretty quickly. The guy's name is James Bonney. Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica, they get married. Anne Cormack becomes Anne Bonny, your most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. Now, when she gets down there, this is not the swashbuckling, rum-drinking Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. Yes, I practiced that in front of the mirror so you guys can laugh. But at the same time, this guy is a privateer. He's basically a coward in her eyes. So, this is not who she wanted. A few years later, she falls in love again. Guy number 2. I'm going to keep track for you because there's a couple. Guy number 2 turns out to be John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Calico Jack is very cool. He's a very dapper young man based on his jackets that he wears. And he has his own ship. Anne wants to be part of it. The girl's cursed pirate ship. She can't have a girl on the crew. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like the guys and hide your gender, you can be a female in my quarters. We'll keep it PG, I guess. But she's okay with this cross-dressing because Dad back home in Ireland used to cross-dress her as a boy to keep her away from his wife. So she's okay. She's a pirate. Let's go. Adults, let's put 2 and 2 together. Being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure it out. So he drops her off at Cuba. Go have the baby. These are friends of mine. They'll help you out, and then you can come back later. Then we'll talk. So she has the baby, returns with no child. We have no idea what the hell happened to this kid. Now, she's also dressed like a female. This makes Jack pretty mad. You all know what kind of girl Anne is. Jack just captured another pirate crew, and they're down below deck. She's going to go flirting with the new crew, because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. Yes, I practiced that one in front of the mirror, too. So, with that one, now we have 2 females dressed as guys to be pirates on the same ship. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. She convinces Mary to become part of the crew. They become friends, possibly lovers. We'll never know for sure. And the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet to come take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 not drunk enough to come up with their 1-bullet flintlocks to try to defend the ship. Well, obviously they're going to get taken. It's 2 ladies taking on a whole fleet of ships. As they're being arrested, she looks at Jack, the captain, her beau, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." So the word dog will show up here quite often as well. The judge, his name is Nicholas Laws. I told you about Nicholas Trout across the street. I know judges in my name. It must be a prominent thing. I don't know. But anyway, he wants to see the 2 men by themselves after he tries and hangs the pirate crew that was too drunk to come up and fight, along with Calico Jack. They're dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front of the judge, reveal their gender, trying to save themselves. The judge doesn't care. They're still females. They're still pirates. He doesn't care. They're gonna hang them. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they said. Basically saying that they're both pregnant, because it was illegal to hang a pregnant woman in 1720. So he sends them both back to jail to delay their hanging. Dad is still here in Charlestown with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. Husband number 2, guy number 4, yes, we're going to count Mary Reed because we don't know for sure, has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. I know, my stories all end in abrupt death. I'm sorry. But Mary Reed, what happened to her? She dies a year later in 1721 in the Jamaican jail from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. I'm sure it was scurvious and bumpy and gross and whatever else you guys want to come up with. So, do we know if the pregnancies were true? We do not. So I have no idea. There's a lot of holes in this story. That's why this is kind of like the big finale of your tour with me, because now you guys all know how to use your devices. You can ask anything you want. I left out 2 specific details on purpose. So I'm not going to give you a slew of questions like I did at the Pinckney Mansion site. I left out the name of Anne Bonny's parents. That's the father and the mistress / girlfriend, for you younger folks who don't know what a mistress is. As far as Calico Jack's ship, you can ask what the name of that is as well. So, I told you at the beginning of this tour that people have passed out in this tour. This is one of the times where it's actually relevant to the story. So back in September of last year, I brought a crew back here, about this size. The kid next to me starts going white as a ghost, like literally about passing out. I pick him up by his armpit and take him over to that wall, which is where we're going to end, by the way, and send his boyfriend over to go get him a bottle of water from the vending machines. He comes back. I then tell the story once he's feeling better. I send everybody out with their toys to go have fun and investigate. They pull me aside and say, Nick, we have to tell you something. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, we are 2 transgender males. And now it makes sense. That's 2 females dressed as men, just like Anne and Mary, on my tour. As soon as we hit the space, one of them passed out. It was a nice, cool night just like this. So again, it wasn't from heat. It wasn't from overexhaustion. Like, they had a blast through the whole thing, and I didn't know any different. So again, I didn't even know about it until they told me about it at the end of the tour. Take that for what it's worth. So when I give that heated warning at the beginning, I have called paramedics in the past on in that instance, but at the Pinckney Mansion site, I will tell you psychics usually don't make it through my tour. They get to that Pinckney Mansion site and they are dropping like a wet noodle. Like, I can almost tell them right away. Like, you're probably not going to make it all the way through. So, it's just the way it happens. So, we are going to explore this space. You can go, those of you with cameras and lasers, you can go to the front of the building to get us some footage up there. The only thing I ask is that you do not interrupt other tours. As far as lasers go, where are my lasers again? So if you want to go to the front, keep the lasers on the front lawn. If you go above it, you're going to be shining in somebody's living room. Those are apartments behind the powder magazine, just so you know. We're going to spend a good 5, 10, 15 minutes here based on the amount of activity. But I'm going to go chill over by that wall and let you guys do your thing. Again, be mindful of people walking through and mindful of other tours. Let's get those spirit boxes going, man. Let's do this. Last final hurrah.
There's a bathroom over there.
Water potty?
Yeah. You walk over there with you?
Sure. What is the blue fluid in there made of? Like, why is it blue?
What are you talking about?
Inside porta potties, it's blue.
Oh. Keeps the odor down.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Doesn't do a very good job.
Don't. Hey, if it wasn't in there, you would know. Don't drink the blue water.
I will.
All right, let's see if we can detect something here. Hold that for you.
Let's do it.
All right. I'm not getting much.
No.
Is he all right in that? Is he all right in that bedroom?
I'm trying to pee for 6 hours.
Oh, I forgot those over here. Good call. It does not smell nice in there. You didn't leave my camera there, did you?
No, I did not.
not.
I held it for him.
Let me take a look at your word list. I haven't seen it in a while.
God, that smelled terrible. You said you play video games that are about pirates?
Yeah, I'm playing Assassin's Creed right now.
Black Flag?
Yep.
That was one of my favorite games ever.
Well, you probably already knew the story of Anne
Yeah.
Bonny then, because it's in there.
Yeah, there's a mission where doesn't Mary die in jail?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten that far yet, but when I was doing research for the story, that video came up, so of course I watched it.
Yep.
But Steve Bonnet was also in there.
He was.
in the
Yeah, wasn't he
beginning.
at the very beginning?
He
Yep.
was. He was the sugar plantation owner.
Yep. I played through that game multiple times.
I was playing it on my Switch Lite, and my wife just bought a regular Switch, so now I can play it on the TV. The reason I haven't been playing as much is because it's hard to see on the Switch Lite.
Yeah.
So I got it. Hopefully, got it going on.
That
the
game's
TV.
history is just out of the world. Out
Yep.
of this world.
How's your camera doing over there, Jay?
Good.
Still rocking? Yeah, the reason I leave that night vision on is because
I could go on
I
the
think I smell like a porta potty now.
We can get in the shower when we get back. I'm gonna stop at McDonald's on the way.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Please pay box in advance. The windshield.
stepmom.
That's pretty common to hear on the radio, believe it or not, with all the things that we have going on right now.
Sadie.
We got Amelia.
Right here. That's not the mom. Where's my other? Where's the van? No, it's yeah. When you do get something here, it's exciting. This is not the Pinky Mansion site, so it's the same thing as what Tracy has over there. She might have something because she's in the bushes, and then her electrical pole, like she might be in the 3s or 4s, but it's a false positive. Alright, let's go back over to the wall, we'll wrap it up.
I was getting nothing over at the wall. I was just here waiting for something.
I don't want to see that if she falls.
So we're gonna get some food.
I just got ash.
Oh, that's on the word that we don't need right now.
Well, I had ash.
Yeah, there's no fires.
36.
That's how many cheeseburgers I want.
I know, right? Yes. I know, I'm hungry. Oh, I need a snack.
So the weirdest instance that we've had in this space, just so we kind of know what's going on, we can kill the videos at
You
this
want
point.
me to turn this
Yeah,
whole
turn
thing
your
off? Okay.
REM pod off and the videos, so you, Blake, you can kill the video too.